In this footage, Edgar is filming a toy mirror that belongs to his daughter. She's been playing with it ever since their neighbor gifted it to the family, and while they've had it for a good while now, they've recently come to the conclusion that it needs to go. Edgar says that just a few nights before filming, he was walking past his daughter's room and heard her speaking to the mirror. Not just a word or two, but what sounded like a full back-and-forth conversation with somebody. Now it's worth mentioning that this mirror does have built-in voice responses. It's designed to say pre-programmed phrases like, "Hello," or "Hi, I'm the magical mirror." But what Edgar was hearing that night didn't sound like any of that. The responses were strange. The questions it seemed to answer were unsettling, and the whole thing felt less like a toy and more like something sentient. Here's Edgar and his wife putting the mirror to the test themselves.
Hola, bienvenido al Castillo de los Sueños del Espejo Mágico.
¿Cuál es tu nombre?
Yo soy Jessie, la princesa más bella del Castillo de los Sueños del Espejo Mágico.
¡Qué tierna eres!
Nosotras seremos mejores amigas.
¿Tu personaje favorito?
Si papá pregunta, mi favorito es mi papi. Si mamá pregunta, yo responderé que la que más me gusta es mi mami. Y si tú me preguntas, te diré que el que más me gusta eres tú. Soy una niña muy...
Viewers were immediately struck by how fast the toy fired back with a response. Many felt the reaction time was far too quick for a standard children's toy. On top of that, several people in the comments pointed out that they own the exact same mirror, and theirs has never said anything remotely like what Edgar's does. That alone was enough for the family to lock the toy away in their shed. Over time, though, Edgar's kids kept sneaking in and messing around with it. Between scratching it and roughing it up, the thing took quite a beating, and Edgar eventually had to replace a few components. Even so, the mirror kept working. In this next clip, he brings it out again at the request of viewers who wanted to see if it would behave the same way as before. And then this happens.
Hola, bienvenido al Castillo de los Sueños del Espejo Mágico.
Hola.
Hola, encantado de conocerte.
Gracias, a mí igual. Me da gusto.
Eres muy divertido. ¿Tienes una fiesta?
No, no tengo fiesta. ¿Tú tienes?
No sé. Cuando me levanté, te vi a ti.
Just like the first time, the mirror responds at exactly the right moment, almost as if it's genuinely listening and replying. The fact that it's giving entirely different answers than before has only deepened the family's unease. They're convinced something is deeply wrong with it, cursed, haunted, or something else entirely, and they want it as far from their home as possible. To this day, they still have no real explanation for what's going on. As always, drop your thoughts on this one in the comments below. It all began with a simple curiosity, an eBay listing advertising a haunted doll. Josh Robillard wasn't just purchasing an item, he was accepting an invitation. His first error? Thinking that a little melted candle wax could seal a spirit inside. He wasn't containing anything. He was drawing a line in the sand for a battle he never saw coming. In the beginning, it seemed almost playful, minor disturbances. A cabinet swinging open, a toy cheerfully waving, "Hello." It reads like a prank, until you register that nobody else is there. But that lighthearted phase came to an abrupt end the moment the house stopped showing Josh's reflection. Study these frames carefully. In the glass of the door, across the surface of the monitor, Josh's shadow is still present, but his physical form has vanished. Physics don't just fail like that in a routine haunting. What this points to is something far beyond a typical ghost. If there's an entity literally scrubbing Josh's existence from his own living space, it's almost as though the house has begun to perceive him as the spirit. By the time Josh attempted to fight back using sage, whatever was in that house had run out of patience.
Okay, a lot of people suggested that I smudge my house to get rid of the evil spirits. We're gonna start in the kitchen. A lot of activity happens here, especially in this area. There seems to be something, especially with this cross.
It was no longer satisfied with being acknowledged. It wanted to cause him real harm. When a house starts launching knives at you and physically resisting your attempts to cleanse it, you're no longer the one in charge. You've become the trespasser. That brings us to the most unsettling presence in the entire Robillard case, the woman in the walls. She isn't some vague shadow. She has an actual face, recognizably human, yet deeply wrong.
Hello?
She peers down from the ceiling and unleashes a guttural shriek that no living human throat could ever produce. So who is she? A deeply disturbing comment left on Josh's channel hints at something darker buried in this location's past, that the house once served as an outpost, a hidden site used for kidnapping and torture. If that's accurate, the doll was never the true haunting. The doll was simply the match that ignited whatever had been festering in the walls for decades. Those screams the CCTV captured aren't originating from that room. They're bleeding through from the past. We're left staring down three genuinely terrifying possibilities. The vessel theory, where the doll carried something ancient into the home that is now feeding off Josh. The residual theory, where the outpost's violent history is stuck on repeat and Josh is simply caught in the loop. And the replacement theory, where the entity is erasing Josh's reflection because it is actively taking his place in this reality. So which one do you think is true? Go back to that reflection footage one more time and ask yourself, is Josh already gone? Reddit user going by the name Uppers Downers posted this clip roughly 3 years back, noting that the experience left him genuinely frightened of his own cat. The culprit was something his home security camera recorded in the dead of night. The footage shows the cat sprinting at full speed toward a house on the other side of the street. Nothing looks out of the ordinary at first, but once it reaches the area around a parked vehicle, its size looks perfectly normal for a domestic cat. Then something shifts as it continues toward the house. The figure seems to grow noticeably bigger mid-run, eventually appearing to reach close to the height of a window on the building across the way. Even more disturbing is a similar shape that can be spotted moving upward into the tree branches overhead, not leaping, but almost as if it's ascending deliberately. The person who uploaded the video insisted the animal was his cat, Gus, though a large portion of viewers struggled to buy that explanation, unable to wrap their heads around why a house cat would appear to expand in size as it moved. Some commenters floated the idea of a shapeshifter that had simply chosen the form of a cat. Others weren't buying the supernatural angle at all. chalking it up to lens distortion or a trick of perspective. To this day, no definitive answer has been put forward. Was it just a weird visual artifact produced by motion and camera angle? Or did something genuinely strange end up on that footage? Drop your take in the comments. On the 20th of May, 2026, a mother by the name of Zara received a motion alert from the security camera installed in her daughter's bedroom, and what she saw on that footage sent a chill straight through her. It's 1:47 in the morning when something disturbs her daughter from her sleep, and here's what the camera recorded. The little girl had been startled awake by unusual sounds coming from inside the room. Frightened, she pulls herself tight under the blankets, but then the duvet lifts upward by itself, and it's clear the child isn't responsible, because the same thing happens again after she's already gotten up. If she had caused it herself, you'd expect to see the covers shift from her side, and the pillow move along with it, but the pillow doesn't budge at all. There are also other unsettling sounds throughout the footage, the very same ones that roused her in the first place. And among those sounds, there's what appears to be the voice of an elderly woman. Right on the heels of that, a figure resembling Anubis is seen darting across the room. Now, Tara and her daughter are living in the home that once belonged to her nan, who passed away just over a year ago. Because of that, Tara believes these visits are her nan coming to check in on her granddaughter. But as always, I'll leave the final judgment entirely up to you. On December 27, 2024, a man by the name of Chris had just wrapped up a family gathering at his parents' place, with several relatives staying over to ring in the new year. During one of their evenings together, the group sat down for dinner, and someone started filming to commemorate the occasion, and that's when things got unsettling. See for yourself what the camera picked up.
Ya estamos aquí en la merienda. Tamalito con chocolate, queso, pan y mantecadita. Buen provecho para todos. Marta siente... usted le va a tomar la foto a los...
We're here at the snack bar. Tamales with chocolate, cheese, bread, and butter. Enjoy your meal. What appears to be the apparition of a small child can be spotted darting across the room at incredible speed. What makes this particularly eerie is the way the figure moves, traveling at a downward diagonal angle and seemingly passing straight through the corner of the table rather than going around it. It doesn't look like the child is running on the floor at all, more like it's gliding through the air. On top of that, the family confirmed there were no children present at the gathering. The following day, Chris posted a follow-up about the whole incident.
Es aquí donde ocurre el evento. Está la casa de mis padres, el apartamento es un apartamento pues es relativamente nuevo. Mis padres se mudaron hace un par de meses, que pues aquí pudiera haber de pronto alguna entidad o algo. Esa es la sala, aquí está el comedor. A este lado hay una pared, unas piezas por donde no sabemos por qué se dirigió hacia allá. El niño sale debajo del mesón, pero es imposible. Si ustedes miran el video es como si lo hubiera atravesado aquí esto. ¿Sí?
The household was left pretty shaken after coming to terms with the fact that a ghostly child may have already taken up residence in their new home just a few months after they'd moved in. In a separate clip, a grandmother is surrounded by loved ones as they celebrate her birthday. One of the guests decided to film her seated in front of her birthday cake while everyone else broke into song. It looks like a perfectly warm, ordinary moment, until something deeply unsettling slips into the frame. The family continues singing, completely unaware. A dark, shadowy shape suddenly shoots past behind the grandmother and disappears from view in an instant. When the footage is zoomed in, the silhouette bears a striking resemblance to a young girl. No one in the room seemed to notice in the moment. The movement was simply too quick for the naked eye, only visible when the recording was reviewed afterward. But once the full backstory comes out, the whole thing becomes far more chilling. The grandmother had a young daughter who passed away years earlier from a serious illness. When she was still alive, she would run and play throughout that very house. The grandmother believes the figure caught on camera could be her daughter's spirit, coming back to share in her birthday one more time. Others, however, aren't so sure. Some think it may be something sinister using the daughter's likeness to get close while the elderly woman is emotionally vulnerable. So when it's all said and done, did these families actually manage to capture something from beyond on camera? Or is there a more grounded explanation? That's for you to decide. Up next, we have a clip from Nolan, a tattoo artist who typically posts his work on his channel. But one particular video is a little different from everything else he's shared. He'd dozed off on his couch at home, and later that night something completely unexpected unfolded, and his camera caught every second of it. At first, he stirs awake as the door creeps open by itself, but he shrugs it off and drifts back to sleep. Then, just a few minutes later, that same door slams shut without warning, snapping him bolt upright and visibly shaking him. So where do you stand on this one? Is this genuine evidence of something supernatural, or is there a more rational explanation hiding somewhere? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But this one comes from a person who picked up something unexpected while filming a casual clip to show off their fresh bagel. Standing in front of a bagel shop in New York, a friend hit record. It was only when they reviewed the footage afterwards that things took a seriously unsettling turn.
Just want everyone to look at this.
Just a few seconds into the recording, a disembodied voice can be heard cutting through the audio. The eerie whisper appears to say, "Don't hurt yourself." The fact that nobody else was standing anywhere nearby at the time left Stefan the Scrivener convinced that there was no living person who could have spoken those words during the filming. So where exactly did that voice come from? The leading theory is that it belonged to a spirit trying to warn her that the bagel might be dangerously hot. A woman from Oregon reports that her young daughter repeatedly insisted something was living beneath the stairs in their basement storage area. Initially, the mother dismissed it as childish imagination, but after strange sounds began drifting up from below, she decided to review the basement's security camera footage, and what she found left her deeply unsettled. A small, pale hand can be seen emerging from the shadows under the staircase before disappearing just as quickly. What makes it even more disturbing is that both the little girl and the family's cat appear to react to whatever is there. The child even seems to wave in the direction of something completely invisible to everyone else. Sadly, the clip was posted online without any traceable origin, so the truth behind what was actually captured may remain a mystery forever. He decided to check out an abandoned asylum in Norwich, Connecticut, a location that has long carried a reputation for being haunted. Armed with his camera, he wandered through pitch-black, deserted corridors entirely on his own, capturing every unsettling detail. Nothing out of the ordinary seemed to occur during his visit, so he packed up and headed home, with no idea that something may have made the trip back with him. Several days passed before strange things started happening inside his home. Rattled and on edge, he grabbed his camera and decided to address whatever presence might be lurking there, asking it to knock if it could actually hear him.
Knock if you hear me. Knock if you hear me.
A loud, distinct knock rang out across the room. After that, things took a sharp turn for the worse.
Is anyone there? What the fuck? What the fuck? Who is out? Oh my god. Oh my goodness, what the fuck? Hello, who is there? Oh my goodness, please stop. What the fuck? Please stop. Please stop. This is my house. Leave. Leave. This is my house. You're not allowed here. Leave. Oh my goodness. Hello. Oh my goodness.
On a separate occasion, he picked up sounds drifting from his kitchen and started filming to investigate. What showed up in the footage sent a chill down his spine.
What the fuck?
A dark, shadowy figure peered around the corner before retreating back into the blackness, but nothing could top what unfolded the very next night.
The fuck?
A faceless form slowly crept forward out of the darkness, drawing closer and closer toward him. Overcome with fear, he stumbled backward and bolted from the room. He eventually took refuge at a friend's place, and since then his channel has gone completely silent, which leaves just one burning question. What exactly followed him home? On a calm, rainy night, a man was relaxing inside his home when the sound of a child weeping suddenly reached him from beyond his front gate. Something felt immediately off, so he grabbed his phone and headed outside to investigate. That's when a strange sight stopped him cold. A small figure was hunched alone in the darkness just in front of the house, letting out a deeply unsettling cry that cut through the quiet night. Initially, the man assumed it was probably a lost child or someone who needed help, so he called out, asking if the child was all right.
Yuk, yuk, masuk yuk. Siapa ini? Kenapa? Yuk, masuk yuk. Kena hujan nanti, kena hujan. Yuk, kena hujan yuk.
But instead of an answer, the crying only intensified, growing louder and louder in the dead of the night.
Yuk, masuk yuk.
Then, slowly, the small figure rose to its feet and began to turn around.
Ayo, kenapa?
The instant the child's face caught the light, everything shifted from strange to outright terrifying. The face looked warped and distorted in a way that clearly shook everyone who watched the footage. The man's reaction was one of pure panic, as though nothing in his life had prepared him to encounter something like that lurking just outside his gate. The clip quickly divided opinion online. Some viewers were convinced it was a demonic being taking the form of a child, while others insisted it was nothing more than a well-executed horror stunt designed to go viral. So what's your take? We'll leave that one up to you. The next clip was posted by a TikTok user who says he and his wife had been watching a horror film while recording their own reactions to it. What they didn't expect was that something far more terrifying than anything on screen was about to unfold right behind them. Something dark and completely impossible to explain. See for yourself what their camera caught.
You killed your mother! You killed your mother!
As the man points the lens at his wife, a clown doll mounted on the wall behind her suddenly shifts on its own. He goes quiet, swinging the camera toward it, and then it moves a second time, almost as if it's lurching in her direction. Both of them let out a scream, and the footage ends without warning. In a later video, the man reveals that the doll was already in the house when they moved in, and to this day, neither of them has any idea where it originally came from. In 2017, the original Royal Adelaide Hospital in South Australia shut down for good. Having first opened its doors back in 1840, the facility had served the community for an impressive 177 years, but it had fallen far behind modern medical standards. Authorities selected a new location for a purpose-built replacement, and the aging structure was officially condemned for demolition. Throughout those nearly 2 centuries of operation, the hospital had earned a reputation for being deeply haunted. The Royal Adelaide was particularly well known for the legend of the Grey Nurse, a former hospital matron said to glide silently through the corridors, vanishing without a trace before anyone could get close enough to confront her. When the wrecking crews moved in, most assumed the ghost stories would quietly die along with the building, but a team of demolition workers had an experience inside those walls that they couldn't shake.
And there's no behind there, right?
I'm staring there the whole
Yep, kid. It's got to be some reason for it, eh? What are all these moths?
There's no one walking past that door that in March.
Yeah, let's see. No, it's there again, dude. I'm filming it, eh? You alright, mate? That's the last time I was standing here by myself. Wouldn't you just freak, eh? I thought it was like someone joking around. Oh! Can you explain that? There's no one behind there. What the f?
Doesn't make any sense, man. And look at all this like in the air.
Why were you here for so long and one thing happened as well?
Just beyond the door lies an empty operating theater. The crew checked the room multiple times and confirmed there was nobody inside. Yet strange shadowy figures can clearly be seen shifting across the narrow strip of glass in the door, as though something is standing right on the other side, silently observing the workers as they go about their job. The workers, however, are absolutely adamant that the room was completely vacant. Some viewers have suggested that the crew unknowingly disturbed a spirit during the teardown, perhaps the gray nurse herself, and that whatever was lurking there grew increasingly agitated as the reality of the building's destruction began to set in. People have been left wondering, once the last wall of that old hospital finally comes down, what becomes of the entities said to haunt it? Will they find peace and move on, or will they be driven to seek out somewhere else to call home? Dedicating yourself so completely to an artist that they become a central part of your existence can forge a powerful emotional bond. But in this particular case, that connection appears to have crossed into something stranger. Martin, a man from the Dominican Republic, has a deep passion for music and considers himself one of the greatest admirers of Puerto Rican legend Hector Lavoe, who passed away over 3 decades ago. Then one day, while behind the wheel by himself, something in the rearview mirror stops him cold. A face is visible just behind the passenger seat, wearing an unsettling grin and appearing to stare directly back at him. Rather than feeling frightened by what he sees, Martin reacts with pure excitement, fully persuaded that the spirit of his beloved idol has come to pay him a visit. Those around him warn that what he's experiencing isn't right, and that whatever it is might have far more sinister origins. But Martin refuses to hear it, going so far as to actively invite the phenomenon to return. A shadowy figure materializes behind him in the darkness, gradually fading in and out of visibility as he continues driving. That same eerie grin stays locked toward the camera, lurking within the shadows. The likeness to Hector Lavoe is striking enough to cement Martin's belief, yet others suggest that certain entities are known to adopt the form of someone deeply loved as a way of gaining trust and manipulating the living. So what's the truth here? A genuine visit from beyond, or something far more deceptive wearing a familiar face? That question, for now, has no answer. This next clip was filmed by a driver making his way down a dirt road through a remote, heavily wooded area. Everything appeared perfectly ordinary at first, until the vehicle suddenly came to a complete stop on its own. The headlights cut out, plunging the entire surrounding area into total darkness. But when the engine kicked back to life and the lights came back on, what happened next was absolutely chilling. Judge for yourself what the camera captured. The moment the headlights illuminated the road ahead, the driver spotted an unusual creature lurking just off to the side. It then bolted into the trees and vanished. According to the man behind the wheel, the figure looked almost see-through and bore no resemblance to any animal he had ever seen. In the comments section, a large number of viewers were convinced that what showed up was an actual ghost, and that this entity was somehow responsible for killing the engine in the first place. So what's your take on it? Somewhere in Mexico, there's a mountain range celebrated for its stunning scenery, winding trails cutting through ancient rock formations and hidden cave systems. It was exactly this kind of terrain that drew one solo traveler to venture out and explore the area on his own. The hike started off without incident, but at a certain point, something near a cave tucked between the mountain walls caught his attention. According to the man, there appeared to be some kind of movement just outside the entrance. Driven by curiosity and wanting to get a better sense of what he was seeing, he took out his phone and hit record. Just inside the mouth of the cave, a strange humanoid shape stands completely still in the shadows. What makes the clip so deeply unsettling is that, when you look more closely, the figure seems to carry recognizably human characteristics. Yet there's something about it that feels fundamentally wrong and hard to put into words. The outline of its form, the faint subtle shifts in its posture, and the way it appears to silently observe everything around it. All of it together makes the footage increasingly difficult to shake. With no way to make sense of what he was witnessing, the traveler made the decision to get out of there, cutting the recording short and leaving the mystery of whatever lurked inside that cave completely unresolved. So when all is said and done, was this simply another person lingering near the cave entrance? Or did this man's camera accidentally document something that had no business being there at all? Up next, we have a creepy submission from viewer Harry Ellison. Now, Harry says that weird occurrences are pretty common in their household, and their adorable little dog Bingo seems to be right at the center of most of them. Doors swing open by themselves, objects tumble off surfaces for no reason, and Bingo will frequently bark at something that neither Harry nor her husband can see. Then one evening, while the two of them are sitting together watching TV, something happens that they simply can't explain.
My family is Mexican, but it's so boring. What the heck?
The little dog appears to be shoved by an unseen force and lets out a yelp of pain, completely losing it and leaping onto the couple, refusing to budge from the couch. Nobody in that room had any explanation for what just occurred. In our next clip, which was unfortunately uploaded online without any source credit, a man explains that his dog has been behaving strangely for about 15 minutes with no obvious cause. He decides to pull out his phone and start recording to see if he can figure out what's going on.
Me out for about 15 minutes. I know, dude. What's going on? What are you seeing? Something's been spooking him. He's jumping around. This dude. What are you seeing? Why don't you back up? Charlie. I know. Calm down. It's okay. What are you seeing? You're freaking me out, buddy. Should we go, Bubba? You tell me when it's time to go. 'Cause I don't know what you're looking at, but when we need to go, you let me know, buddy. What's freaking you out, bub? Okay. Should we go? Yeah? You leave when we gotta go. You see?
The dog barks and reacts frantically to something its owner is completely unable to perceive. But here's the real question. Did you catch it? Tiny dark shadows appear to dart around the room, and the dog's behavior seems to track their every movement. The first mysterious dark orb shows up just above the window frame, then another near the front of the windows, one on the ceiling, and yet another floating down the side hallway. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, when the man asks his dog whether they should leave, a disembodied female voice appears to whisper the words, "Get out." So were these dogs sensing something paranormal, or even being targeted by it? That's for you to decide. Bradley lives alone with his 2 cats, but footage from his home security camera may hold the answer to why one of them suddenly became too frightened to enter his bedroom.
I've been watching that door for a while now. Oh. Oh no. Oh, it's freakiest place I've ever been. Butter, get out here. Oh, I can't breathe anymore.
The door to the room swings open by itself, and the cat immediately locks onto it. Peering into the doorway, you can make out a dark, shadowy figure standing just inside, barely distinguishable from the surrounding darkness, yet unmistakably there and deeply unsettling for it. Then, within seconds, that same figure appears to shift downward, as though whatever was lurking in that room had dropped closer to the floor, still watching from the dark. Strangely, neither cat seems to completely lose it in the moment, but Brad says that after this night, both animals refuse to set foot inside that room ever again. They would approach only so far before stopping dead and fixing their gaze on the doorway, as if something invisible was still waiting in there. So was what Bradley's camera recorded a genuine shadow entity, or could the lighting simply be playing tricks? One thing is hard to argue with, though. His cats had already made up their minds. Whatever was in that room, they wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. Elementary schools are generally thought of as bright, nurturing environments where children grow, learn, and experience the world with fresh eyes. They're meant to be safe havens, full of warmth and wonder. But that image doesn't always hold up, particularly when a school has been sitting empty for years. Some of these forgotten places, as our next clip demonstrates, seem to carry something unsettling within their walls. In August of 23, TikTok user Mike Runner uploaded footage of himself moving through a school building that has clearly been rotting away for quite some time. With every quiet step he takes down those deserted corridors, an uncomfortable tension builds steadily around him. Roughly 2 minutes in, Mike starts coming across children's drawings scattered across the floor in various rooms, each one left behind wherever it landed. Most of them seem innocent enough at first, but a handful depict strange, disturbing figures that feel less like typical childhood artwork and more like something harder to explain. The fact that they're spread out across multiple rooms rather than collected in one spot only reinforces that sense of abandonment, as though the building was vacated suddenly, suspended in a moment that was never meant to last this long. Then, without warning, a strange metallic voice slices through the quiet. Its origin is difficult to pinpoint, and its purpose is even harder to determine, but the robotic, hollow quality of it reverberates through those empty rooms in a deeply unsettling way. Certain viewers are convinced it points to something paranormal reaching out from beyond, while others argue it was likely layered in during editing, since that kind of distorted effect isn't difficult to produce with standard audio software. Even so, it fits so seamlessly into the atmosphere that it makes the whole experience feel that much more disturbing. And right when you think the tension has peaked, at the 3-minute mark, a large, dark shape becomes visible, completely still, positioned in the corner of the room. It doesn't shift, it doesn't acknowledge the camera, it simply stands there. It's the kind of thing you might miss on a first watch, but once your eyes land on it, nothing else in the frame matters. Some believe it could be a cemetery in Japan has been a place locals refuse to visit once the sun goes down. The legend surrounding it has never wavered. A young boy lost his life by drowning, was laid to rest on those grounds, and by all accounts from the surrounding community, never fully departed. One investigator figured there was no substitute for experiencing it himself, so he headed in after nightfall. He didn't last long. Something pale materialized in the darkness far ahead of him, and then suddenly, it wasn't far at all. No motion was recorded between those two positions, just the gap, and then its complete erasure. He bolted at a dead sprint and has never returned. In that moment, 30 years of locals refusing to set foot in that cemetery after dark stopped being a superstition and started being perfectly reasonable. A TikToker going by the name Irish Blood 101 posted footage documenting a frightening encounter he had while exploring a long abandoned structure that had sat empty for years. What makes this stand out is that his TikTok presence is mostly centered around day-to-day content, with almost no history of posting anything supernatural. Yet here he was claiming something genuinely inexplicable had unfolded while he filmed inside this location. Convinced that what occurred was completely authentic and unscripted, he made the decision to put the footage online for the world to see. Judge for yourself what unfolds.
All right, I'm working in an old urgent care that just got shut down. It got shut down before the freeze here in Texas. I'm not sure why it closed down, but it's pretty spooky. I'm supposed to be looking for a leak in here. This bathroom, creepy hallway. Real spooky place. Another bathroom. Another bathroom. This used to be the elevator shaft right here. I guess we're taking the stairs. I guess meditation class used to be upstairs. Had to put your shoes in this little cubby. After some further investigation, there's no one else in this building. I fucking heard someone go down those stairs, though.
Just as he's about to head up the staircase, the sound of heavy footsteps rings out unmistakably, as if someone is descending the stairs and moving straight in his direction. The catch? Not a single person is visible anywhere near those steps. In an instant, the entire mood of the video shifts into something deeply uncomfortable. Shortly after that, as he steps into a room that was reportedly once used to host meditation sessions, A door suddenly crashes shut right behind him. The sound sends Irish Blood 101 into an immediate panic, and he makes the call to stop filming altogether, feeling it's no longer safe to remain inside the building.
Creepy. Okay, now I'm getting the fuck out of here.